Morris, you're watching Boast and Dan Bushcraft, and today it's a little bit chilly. We have had some of the old white stuff falling from the sky. Beautiful. So as it is about that time of year where things start to get really cool, it's time we think about warming up. Whoa. Get in the old bushcraft cave, start getting it wound up. Heating. Ugh. So silly safety catch first. Yeah, this, to anyone who thinks, hang on, isn't that a safety device? It is, it's also broken and it goes off constantly and just puts it out, and I can't be dealing with the stupidity of it. Whoever designed that wants a poke in the eye. Ah. A few minutes when all that flames turn blue, and that'll be nice and warm. Stop. I know I've mentioned this before, but with any type of light like that where you've got a wick you can take up and down, don't set it to the full brightness you want it until you've given it a good 5 minutes warm up, otherwise it will just turn into a big smoking mess. So I'll leave that low for the moment. I'll come and tweak that up in a minute. Okay, so then, friends and bushcrafters alike, today's topic: heating. Just because it's, well, I say heating, really what I'm actually going to waffle on about is one specific type of heating. And I bet you can't guess what I'll be fueling this one specific type of heating with now, can you? Anyone who's watched my channel since the beginning will probably already know that I have a bit of a fetish for paraffin, or depending on where you're from, kerosene appliances, for various reasons. Two of which being they work really well. Their reliability is brilliant. Secondly, I just really like the old stuff. You call me what you like. But we are hitting that time of year now where we're going to start getting colder weather. We're going to get ice, we're going to get snow, we're going to get blizzards, we're going to get all of that. And I'm sure many of the people watching this would agree that just because we're having cold weather, it does not end camping season. There is no end of camping season as far as I am concerned. Now, how do we stay warm? Well, obviously, for the most part, we're going to light a nice big fire in the middle of camp, and that will keep us warm for the most part. After that, what do we do when we creep off into our various sleeping appliances? Now, there's a lot of options out there on the market, that such as the hot tents, where you have the actual wood stoves that you can fold up and take with you, and I've seen a few varieties of them, and don't get me wrong, I think they are wonderful. I think they are lovely. Obviously, you're going to need transport for that sort of thing, as I'm guessing there's a little bit of a weight to all that. Wouldn't know, don't currently own one, may do someday. It's not really a thing that I've needed as far. But one of the other things that is on the market is little portable gas stoves that use the little butane bottles and things like that. I said stove, what I actually meant was the fires. Very similar to what people's parents had in the living rooms quite a while ago. They're not really that common anymore, they're not really that popular. Obviously everybody's gone to gas-fired heating. Now, for me personally, seeing people use these little gas appliances and things is the bane of my life. There was a spate a while ago of these said appliances catching fire, exploding, and there has been a lot of incidents involving tents using this sort of equipment, and it all boils down to the pressurized gas container. The appliance on its own isn't, I'm not going to go as far as to say unsafe, it's the fuel. It's dodgy, it's pressurized gas. It can naturally lead to explosions. There's a lot of independent seals and things like that, and the way you can get leaks and problems and all of this, that. They're just not my cup of tea. Also, carrying spare fuel for it or anything like that. Stoves such as this are another fine example. It's obviously MPCs because there's no gas bottle connected to it, but the old camping stoves like that, they're still very popular, still very common. Again though, it means containers are pressurised gas. It's very hard to tell how much gas is in there, so inevitably you're carrying spares around, so you've got little gas filled bombs with you. Now instead of all of that, would you consider, and you can guess what's coming, would you consider instead an ancient paraffin appliance? Who didn't know that that was coming? Now this thing is incredibly similar in operation and how it works to the actual Tilly lamps that I've shown many times on various videos. It's very similar in how you light it in operation and all that. It's got all the same equipment on it and works in pretty much exactly the same way, but it is in fact a parabolic heater, as it has this lovely big shiny reflective satellite dish looking jobby at the back there. Now this is made by the company Bialadin, not Tilly, as it proudly proclaims there. Bialadin Fireball. Marvellous thing. I'll light it soon and show you exactly how it works and what it does and all of that whatnot. Now the reason I prefer things like this is obviously because it's an antique, and to me a working antique is just a wonderful thing, but also because kerosene or paraffin, depending on where you are from, is not dangerous. It's going to be air pressurized in there. It doesn't explode like that. It doesn't even burn unless it's heated, pressurized, or if it has a wick to burn through. If you used to tip kerosene all over this table and try and ignite it, you're not going to get very far. It doesn't go up like petrol. You can also tell how much fuel you've got in there, give it a shake, tell the weight, pull either the pump out or the little filler tap there, lift that out, and you'll be able to see exactly how much fuel you've got with you. If you are carrying spare fuel for it, you can just have any fuel can really with spare paraffin in there, and again that's a non-exploding bottle of liquid. It's not particularly dangerous at all. It is also very handy should you need to chuck some on your fire to encourage the lighting of it, because obviously it will burn if you put it on a medium cardboard, wood, anything like that. It needs something it can soak into a bit really before it will burn, hence the normal paraffin lamps that have wicks in them. So for me it's an all-around safer choice. I personally believe as well that with the oil burning things, you get more heat. I don't know if it's just that the liquid fuel is more density or something, I don't know. Personally I think these things run a hell of a lot hotter than gas anyway. Now this particular example is missing its guard. They are supposed to have a guard over the front of them to stop clothing and things falling on them and catching fire. Obviously though there, I don't even know if you can see anything actually. The light on the camera might just be reflecting in the bowl and blinding the camera, so that'll be fun later if I look at it and all you can see is a big shiny mess. I'll just turn it so it's reflecting somewhere else. Obviously the implications of not having that, it all comes down to common sense, but anything that is using burning anything, gas, fuel, whatever it is going to have that same risk of if you drop fabrics on it, it's going to catch fire, isn't it? So I know that some people would say, oh well, it's still a burning thing that's going to possibly ignite. Yes, obviously you still have to use your brain, and obviously with a thing like this, I'm not telling anybody to go out there and start filling highly flammable tents with flaming appliances. That's entirely your choice. If you are a person of shall we say not a lot of common sense, perhaps a hot water bottle's for you. Anyway, onwards and upwards, let's get this thing a-rolling. Now as with most of the pressure paraffin appliances, we light them by priming them with methylated spirit. Yes, there are other products on the market you can light them with, but I personally always have, which is methylated spirits. It burns clean, doesn't put black charring on anything, and it works fine. It works, you know, methylated spirits, it's been used for years in the Trangia stoves and things like that. I know there are other things you can use, alcohols and stuff like that. So very much the same with the actual Tilly pressure lamps, except for this one's got its own lovely little built-in lighting device there, a little reservoir to pour your methylated spirit in, and then that'll soak up into that lovely little wick there. Quick little tip just while we're doing this is these wick lighters, particularly this one because it's quite a tall one, you can see how, well, you might not be able to see it, but if you were here now you'd see it. You can see how it's going dark as the fuel is soaking all the way up. A bit of patience here saves you some time and money in the future, because wait until the liquid has soaked to the very top of it before you light it. If you don't do that and part of the wick itself is all dry, that'll just burn away a lot quicker and you'll just end up with a half-size wick before long, and then you'll be needing to replace it to light it properly. So tickle of patience now, let it soak all the way up there, and that's pretty much all the meths I'm going to need to get this one going. Although it is quite cold at the moment, I don't know what the actual temperature, oh, it's below 10 degrees in here, which is unusual. It very rarely drops that low inside this garage. It's quite well insulated, but I wasn't in here today at all, so it had no other source of heat. When it is really cold, as I did say on the previous video lighting the Tilly lamps, sometimes it is worthwhile prime them twice. Let that burn until it goes out, refuel it, prime it again. The key thing being until it goes out. Don't be trying to tip meths on it whilst it's still burning. The amount of times when I've led groups and stuff in the past and I've seen all sorts of chaos ensue when somebody is trying to refuel a Trangia and it hasn't actually gone out. Now, a drawback with methylated spirits, particularly in Trangias, which anyone who's used one will tell you, is the flames can actually be quite hard to see. Some liquids, some chemicals burn without a visible flame. Some have a very dull flame. Now, meths has a rather dull flame, and depending on the light you're in, time of day, sometimes you'll look at your burner and think, that's gone out. Yeah, so particularly with the little Trangias where, you know, it's always worth making very sure, put it out and then refuel it. But with this, make sure it has fully gone out, refuel it, prime it twice. Please don't set yourselves on fire. Right, that's soaked up enough now. It's all the way to the top. Let's get it primed. There we go. So you can see on this, I don't know if it's potentially just because it's got the wick on it, but you can see there's quite a bright blue flame there and some yellowy bits at the back, so you can see quite clearly that this is burning. Excuse me. Trangias don't really have a wick. They certainly don't have an external wick. It's all built in on the inside of them with the mesh, very much like that mesh around it where the vapor comes out and the flames come out, and it can be really hard to see the flame. Now, parabolic, being the curved surface there, has a brilliant ability to focus that heat into almost a beam. It's almost like having a torch beam, and right now, even though that is only the methylated spirits burning, I can feel it warming my face up quite substantially. If it was lit properly right now, I wouldn't be sat here with it pointing at my face, because I would be getting a rather impromptu paraffin suntan. So yeah, we'll let that burn until it's pretty much completely gone out. Just a few little flames left to get it running with is what we want. Yeah, I think earlier I referred to it as a bialadin fireball, which sounds more fun than they've actually just wrote bialadin bowl fire. Not a very creative name, that, is it? It is still a parabolic heater. And yes, gas variants are available. Another issue with your gas bottled appliances is, and this is a silly issue as well because you're using it for heating, but particularly if you've got them placed down on the ground and there's snow and ice, your gas bottle gets really cold to the point where it doesn't turn to gas. I mean, inside that pressure container, it's pressured down to the point where it's a liquid, and when it is really cold, it stays as a liquid and it starts flashing and coughing and doing all that nonsense. Don't really get that problem with paraffin. So you can see now, flame's dying down a little bit, and I can see into the reservoir that the little reservoir is now empty. It's just what's left in the cloth of that wick. It's got to burn off, and once that has done, it should be hot enough. Like I did say earlier, if it is super cold, or if you're lighting it outside and it's a little bit windy and the wind's moving your flames about a bit, there's no harm in priming them twice, just to ensure that it is definitely hot enough that it will light first time. With these things, if you have a failed ignition, it's not the end of the world. You just let the gas out of it, reprime it, light it again. With the Tillies, however, if you have a failed ignition, because they've got a mantle on them, you'll have carbon all over your mantle, so it'll be all dirty and black, and you'll have to spend ages whipping the on-off valve on and off, so as it blows the carbon off and cleans itself. With this, it's not so bad. The failed lighting will just mean it'll smoke a bit, smell a bit funny, let the air back out, go back to priming it again. Right, I think we're about ready to start pressurising it. So the flame just turned blue there. Now what you just saw was me flick a lighter on it as it was hissing away. To be honest, I kind of let the primer run a little low. You don't need to do that with your hand on a lighter if you catch it when the flames off your primer are the right height. But I didn't want to have to do all that again, so I just flicked a lighter on it. For this particular old chap, I think we might be getting time for a new pump washer in there. Right, so get some air in the oat fella, and then I'm just going to leave it to fully warm up. Oh, that'll start glowing red down there, and it'll get hotter and hotter and hotter. As with most of these pressure appliances, the longer they're running, the warmer they get, the hotter they get. And as I did just say, this one may possibly require a new washer inside the pump there. They're usually leather washers. In the field in an emergency, I have literally made them out of a section of leather belt. In fact, I know several lamps in the collection here that the pump washers and other washers are still to this day made from bits of leather belt, because they last a long time. Most of the washers and seals in this will be leather anyway, but if you see my other video, what's it called, Tilly lamp revamp, that's where one of those lamps needed its washers changed. It is literally a 5-minute job. You don't even need tools to do the work on these things. They're so easy. It's just another one of the list of reasons why, yep, I'd rather have these over the gas appliances. So just whilst that's getting warm, let's have a bit of ambient lighting. Let's have a lighter that works as well, because that one's got no gas in it. Another gas related issue for the day. I know this video does seem a little bit like right now all I'm doing is slagging off gas appliances. No, not at all, not at all. There's a time and a place for them. Now, I don't know the exact rates and ratios. What I do know is actual, butane propane gas appliances do give off more noxious forms of carbon monoxide and dioxide than these things do. Depending on the type of tent you've got and application you're using them, I can't imagine that would be a particularly big risk. Most hot tents and systems I've seen have got really quite good ventilation. However, as always, use your common sense. If you're inside things that are practically airtight or very small, not a good thing to have naked flames. The type of tents I am referring to are large things, not one-man things that look like coffins where if you used your cigarette lighter, you would probably set it on fire, you know. Common sense. It's a sad world. We have to tell people about common sense these days. It's no longer an accepted principle that people know how to not set themselves aflame or impale themselves with an arrow, or any number of curious things we have to warn people of. Like, I was literally in a hotel not all that long ago, and there was a hairdryer in the bathroom, and it had a sticker on that hairdryer that said, "Do not use in the shower." I have no idea who that sticker was for. Or like when you buy a pair of shoes these days, and in the box there's a little packet of silica gel and it says on it, "Do not eat." As if there are people out there who see that and think, "Oh look, they've put a little packet of sweeties." Okay. Oh, dear me. There we have, it is running. Now, although it is running, it is going to continue to get hotter than what it currently is right now. It's going to get hotter and hotter and hotter, and anywhere you are within sort of radius of this bowl here, you can feel the heat coming straight out of it. And already in the time that it's been running, which is literally about 10 minutes, we are way above 10 degrees in here already. Now naturally, the thermometer behind the TV up there is in quite close proximity to this, so that may not be the truest of representations of temperature, but the temperature is growing rather rapidly, and it is, you can feel it just by sitting here. Excuse me, just how warm this thing is. I'm not sure what the exact amount of heat that it puts out, but I know it's quite a lot for the size of it. Definitely more than the little gas fiery things that I have seen, and it would last a lot longer. Now, another thing, just while we're waffling on the subject, where did I put him? Lose my own head if it wasn't attached. Where are we? These. I appreciate that is a very old style of the camping gas bottles, but they are all about the same in how they work and everything. That's quite an old thing that I've got down there. I bought it a long time ago. You can still get these. And to anybody who's thinking you've just stuck that right in front of a big heater, it is empty. It has been used, it has a hole in it, it is completely empty. And the reason I've just popped that out is because, this, what is it, it's about 90, is it 90 grams or something like that? They haven't made it obvious or easy to find. 190 grams. Not a lot, is it really? It's about the size of a tin of mackerel. You're not going to get too much usage out of those. Now, yeah, they're quite small, I guess, and easy to carry, but how much do they cost these days? This is an older style. I managed to find 6 of them on eBay, the same style as this, second hand off somebody, £15 for 6. Now, if you went into a shop, anywhere you go outdoorsy places like that, your bottles of gas are very, very overpriced, in my opinion. Gas in general, be it propane, butane, a mixture, whatever, they're very, very ridiculously overpriced. Paraffin is relatively cheap. By the litre, it fluctuates obviously. The last time I bought any, it was around the 75 pence a litre mark. You'd fit about a litre in that tank, and you'd probably get a couple of nights of usage out of that litre for 75p. You can get ripped off buying paraffin. Do not go online and buy the pre-packaged paraffins where they come in little bottles of 4 litres and stuff, and they're expecting you to pay £15–16 for it. That's nonsense. It's literally, it's well under £1 a litre at the moment, and almost always it is. It's very rare that it slips above £1 a litre because it is a fuel oil. I buy it in bulk. That's what those plastic things are behind me there. I always purchase quite a lot of it in one hit, but either which way you look at it, it is phenomenally cheaper than trying to run anything on these things. So, you know, you guys can all make your own minds up as what you prefer. Some people prefer the fact that these, you just turn the valve on, flick a flame at it and it lights. Some people can't be bothered with the priming procedures and all of that nonsense. That's entirely up to you, but for the fact that it's not likely to explode, and it's really, in comparison to these, dirt cheap to run. Personally, things like this are always going to be my favourites, my go-tos. These old things are, you know, to each their own, really. Another thing is storage. Now, mostly these things, the actual equipment themselves will be made out of brass and things that don't particularly corrode badly or anything like that. I have found old ones of these in various places, sometimes other people's sheds when they've moved house, and stuff like this has been left behind, and they've rusted to the point where they've become really fragile, or they have already let go of their contents. So there is a bit of a storage factor with them if you're going to be storing them long term. You know, some people, obviously, you probably never keep it long enough for it to rust through, but you never know how often you're going to be using them. Some people have things like this lying around that they only use in case of power cuts and stuff. In which case, if you're one of those people and you haven't seen them for a while, check your gas bottles, check the condition of them, make sure they've not rusted through significantly. You don't want that surprising you in the middle of the night. But for me personally, I like the paraffin things. I think they're just charming as well. And, you know, nice little handle on the back of it there, so you can move it around without setting fire to your hand when it's lit. And that is pretty much all there is to say about that. That is the bialadin bowl fire, and it is for me a solution in heating, be that either when you've got yourself a jolly good camp set up, be it in power cuts, be it whatnot, la-di-da, or any of that. And I know I've said this before, but people do always say about power cuts, but my heating runs on gas. Yes, they do, but unfortunately your boiler runs on electricity as well, so in a power cut your central heating isn't going to work. Without electricity, your boiler will switch itself off. So always a good reason to have this sort of stuff knocking about. Or maybe it is just my love of old paraffin appliances. Either way, guys, that's the end of this video. Just wanted to show you that as a suggestion, an alternative to hot tents and things like that. You guys can all make your own minds up about any safety implications, transport implications, whatever. Leave it in the comments. Please do say so if you have something in mind, or you want to know a question about these appliances or anything like that. But as always, guys, get yourselves out there, get bushcrafting, get having fun, get purchasing some old paraffin appliances and have a play about with them, see what you think of them. Let me know the results. But other than that, that is all from Bosun Dan today.